I'm asking you, what you thinking about? See, some people might be asking, well, Bishop, how are we going to make it out of this financial situation? It's a good question. Bishop, what about those who are doing well and they still, physically ill? How we get through that, Bishop? What's up with this, with the COVID crisis, and are we really logically saying that this is going to be our new norm? Bishop, what about, any of those questions I really want to get into tonight, because I want to get into why we are talking about this Heal America. That's why I'm asking you this, so I can get for you. And maybe there are no questions. Maybe y'all, maybe you saying, well, you just let us know what you're doing. I ain't got no problem with that either, man. I can just ramble and rumble. Anyone? I'm looking. All right. Lord said, Lord, you saying go and just say it? Okay, I just said it. Oh, you saying say it like that was a good, what I was saying was good. Either way. All right, so here we go. How do you stay calm? So much anxiety. I'm still I'm still mad at Joe. I stay calm. That's very good. How do we? I'm gonna tell you stop talking with me. How do we stay calm when there's so much anxiety? And that's a very, very, very real question. And I think a lot of us who are kingdom folk, we are not exempt. What's going on in praise? Okay, I'll talk about that. Okay, but let's talk about this calmness. The way we stay calm is not that we excuse the damage, not that we don't become a part of. Henry Nowen said it like this. It was a book that Bob Woodson had me read years ago, and he said that you have to become immersed in the human condition. You have to become immersed in the human condition. And so you weep with those who weep. You cry with those who cry. You mourn with those who mourn. You share pain with those And he was in a concentration camp, and he developed a new psychotherapy. And he developed that psychotherapy from his most horrific life experience. And what he was saying is every day, now listen at this. It was a guy named Landon Saunders who taught me this. He said, Omar, you have to live in transitoriness. Transitoriness means you live in transit knowing that this is not a permanent place. So every day you extend yourself to its highest level, that you don't take days off in your spirit. Now, I don't mean you don't have vacations, but you let it all out in the space where you can let it out. And Landon had a bad heart. Landon had a very, very, very bad heart. I'm talking about like a real bad heart, man. And he's had many, many heart attacks. It was just it was hereditary. But he said every time I had a heart attack and I thought it was the big one, I was smiling, and the doctors would say, "Why are you smiling?" He said, "Because I gave it all out today." So the way you stay calm is that each moment that you're in, you allow that moment to live at its highest level, and then you can leave it there. See, if I have an interaction and my mind says it's nothing, and then it turns out to be something, and then I have regret, or I underestimate, or I overestimate it, or I have anxiety about it. But when you give it all, each moment brings its own set of adventure, and you can leave it and look at it. Like there's some things in my life that some of my friends, some of y'all know, that are very difficult for me. But what I do, I live in that moment, and then I say that moment is there. That's how I used to do with the gangs, man. Whenever I would deal with a gang or violent interaction, I would say, I'm going to be totally immersed in this moment. So I would listen at every word, every sentence, every blink, every this. I would become totally immersed. And so when I left that moment, I left it there. Because if not, you could carry all that stuff, and it can become a backlog. But I want to talk. I want to have a whole lot of conversations about this anxiety. But I'll get to that because, like you said, the COVID and all of that stuff is is a part of it. Okay, would you support that's D, who is another brain? She said, would you support a national teacher strike until there's a national stabilization of COVID? You know what? I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would or would not. Just based on the parameters. But I'm telling you what I would say. I would say that any precaution that is needed for someone to make sure that their life is safe, I'm with that. Now, not COVID related directly, because that's a deep and that's real, man. Because I'm gonna tell you something, man. Okay, no. I told you preachers like to talk, but there have been some very close individuals to me that have passed on in very unusual ways over 2020 been rough. So anyone that's attempting to find a way for safety to be the primary provocateur of their life, I don't have a problem with it. I don't know if teachers' unions could do a national strike because I just don't know what the capacity they would have. But I do know that to say we must be unapologetically have precautions and be cautious and be sensitive and be serious and not allow this to become some type of steamroll ahead, because normalcy, you have to change normal when things become abnormal. You have to change your norms. You can't just go back to what you thought. And it was easier for me just to, I know it. It's very difficult, but that's a great observation, because you have people who are putting their lives and health and all that at risk, especially those who are most vulnerable. I would advocate for those who are in the most vulnerable positions to have every opportunity to be secured, safe and quarantined. I would advocate that in whatever capacity that needed to happen, because it becomes. We buried my uncle, my mother-in-law, two other individuals that we know, and all of it was such you had to suspend your grief. It's just a new idea. So, in that sense, I would not want people to have to go through those type of horrific indications. I mean, Anton Lucky, who is one of our strongest people, his sister and her mother died same day, COVID. How you what do you say to that? All right. Okay, Renee, that's my question. What are your thoughts on COVID? My thoughts on COVID is that it's four things that I know. One, it's real. Two, it's not solved, so we must take it as serious as we can. Three, it is not political. I want you to hear that part. COVID is not political. See, preachers, I got to stop being a preacher. I'm trying to just have a conversation. It is not political. And what I mean by that is, a friend of mine said, when someone asks you a direct question and they start talking political, then you know they lie. See, certain questions should not have a political spin on it. It's real. It's dangerous. We don't have a solution. It's not political. Now, but what does that mean? That means that it's a formidable enemy. So I don't get into the conspiracy theory of whether it was made up because the Chinese wanted to, and then this wanted, and then really they was trying to make. Then it's a vaccine that's coming at the back end that's trying to make. I don't get into that, because I don't have the quality of information to dissect whether. What I do know though, what I stand on is real. It's dangerous. We don't have the cure yet, and that we must take it extremely serious. And so all things that we have at our disposal we should use. But I do think that it is being weaponized in many ways. And if you want to know the ways I think it's been weaponized, you can ask me on this, because I'll go into that. Which ways do I think it's being weaponized. All right. What is healing going to look like as it begins to unfold for our world? It's good. All right. This is the question I get, and thank you, Candace. This is and I'm gonna answer that too, Tina, when she said, "How do we as a country move forward?" Listen at this, man. Steven Jackson and the other football player, Deshaun Jackson, they were chastised because of the way they responded to the Jewish community. Now, Hitler has been dead for many years, but the Jewish community is constantly saying we must be aware of any remnants of what we perceive as anti-Semitic ideas, and they see Israel as a respite, a place that they can go if it ever jumps off again. So you got to remember that we didn't start the Heal America tour because of George Floyd, because of COVID. We started it before because what we recognized with that in America, it's this fabric of a disease that is eroding this kind of normal or this beautiful life that we could all have. It's something that's eroding, and that's why the Spirit told me, hey, we need to heal America. And it was about it will have some different iterations, Ken. So some of it is going to look like we're dealing with police reform. Some of it is going to look like we're dealing with OGs. At some point, it's going to look like we are dealing with, but we'll be dealing with religious ideas, and we'll be dealing with certain other ideas and financial institutions and all kinds of stuff. But this is what I want you to know. Just like the Jewish community has not said, okay, well, Hitler's gone, we good, we can all get back to what we was doing. See, Heal America is not a program, it's a movement that says, as we see those things where healing is necessary, we come back to it. So the way it would look like pockets of healing being examples of a replicable process. So in Minneapolis, it might look like healing in this sense, or in Atlanta, it might look like this, or in Dallas, but it will be this remnant of saying that we want to purify the ideas and make them live up to what it is called to be. Because if we don't, we believe that there is this underpinning that will do what it's doing right now, explode, erupt. See? And that's why we do these healing forms. That's why we do it. And as a country, Tina, the way we move forward with cautious belief, with questions that we cannot ignore, and we move forward one way, with truth as our buffer. We don't lie anymore. We don't hide. So we start saying what's true, and even if it's an uncomfortable truth, even if it's a truth that people don't want to hear, we speak truth no matter what. That's the only way you move into a healing process. Wouldn't it be sick for a doctor to not give you the right diagnosis of your sickness, and he knew it, and he didn't do it because of whatever his reasoning was? That's the difference in this moment. We're saying that we must move in this kind of direct action that right now is about COVID, and it's about racial, and it's about violence and all kinds of stuff. But the idea is the healing must happen through a true move. So the truth will come in different iterations. But this is what the scripture says. The truth does one thing, and this is what we know. It makes you free. So that's the other way. It is no boundaries. It's no, well, I can't do, no, it's no, none of that. I was listening to a Devoir and this brother Brett out of Minneapolis, and they was talking. We had a great conversation with Candace and Ingrid and all of that. And one of the things that was said was that it's kind of It's almost like a veil over the eyes of some of us where we cannot see truth because we've been ingesting lies so long that one of the things that God wants to heal us from is just the lies. That'll help you. If it don't do nothing else, God will if he just heal us from so many of these lies. Okay. Which ways do you think COVID has been weaponized? I'm going to tell you. I think, one, it has been used as a political frisbee to bolster the positions of some of our local and state officials as they try to appeal to small bases and they forget real faces. They are trying to create their own legacies through a pandemic. That's sick. You don't do that. Certain things are too serious to lie and play about. So you get online and you say, man, this is good. Ain't that, man, don't worry about that. Or you say things like you use it as a way to create an economy argument. We're trying to crash the economy, or we're trying to bolster the position of certain political ideologies. And it becomes this mass confusion. Because on one hand, you got people saying, is it true? And on the other hand, you got people saying, are you sick? See, you got to be sick to say some folk can die. Hey, man, it's part of it. Yeah, that's sick. But you also got to be sick to say, let it go under so I can use this as for my political agenda later on. See, all of that sickness, that's a sickness that is a decaying sickness, and that's what I mean. It's been weaponized. So you got some folks saying, all these people wearing these old masks, and then you got folks saying they want to kill you. See, and all of those ideas sound good until it's your mama, or it's your daughter, or it's your son that's really dealing with this kind of brutal attack. So we got to be as honest and as non-biased and as straightforward as we can and call it like it is. You got to just call it like it is. Yes, we have to be socially distant. We got to be honest, but we cannot allow people to use their political agendas and our fear and hysteria to create a wedge. Mm-hmm. Why is the Jewish community told to never forget, but the black community told just to get over it? Man, that's a good question. See, I think that the systemic racial ideas that have been brutally... See, Ahmed Rashidi said something to me when I was 16, when we were talking about slavery. I'll never forget it. That's not slavery to bind the people, to bind the people to work for its time, and that's indentured servanthood. What was done to black folks was genocide. What was done to our people was brutal, was treacherous, was torturous, and it was for hundreds of years. And the restoration has been for 40, 50 years. And so, because as individuals, we always trying to get over it, we kind of love to be nostalgic. I mean, and I don't say this in no hyperbole, but I just want to just kind of, as kind of a metaphor, like a young lady or a young man that you dated and it was a bad thing, but you want to be nostalgic and you want to think about you. But I remember that time we went to the movie, but he did, almost kill, So point being, at some point, your mind kind of tries to flip the switch. And I think it's black and white, because what you don't want to do is say it is an excuse to not achieve, but what you cannot do. I don't know why people ask black folk to forget, but I do know that we have an obligation not to. and not to and you know, and you cannot carry it as a weight, but you must carry it as a tour guide into what America can be and what America is not. You have to, because when you don't carry it that way, you tend to become so tone deaf. And I ain't talking about like to these last few weeks and few months. You become tone deaf to what cries and what behavior looks like when it does not have the filter of historical understanding and guidance. When it does not have the ideas of a rites of passage, when it does not have a connection to history and legacy, it becomes a brutal understanding of survival only. And when survival only becomes your methodology, then the rules are suspended for those who are in that society. And when the rules become suspended at that level, the people who are most vulnerable normally are trapped forever. They don't get out. And those who get out, they get out of their own road of destruction, but they don't get out of the cycle. And the cycle then hits those who are connected both tangentially or connected intimately. What you saying? Oh, I'm saying that some people make it, but you still are vulnerable because your children and your grandchildren and your cousins and your grandmama and them and this whole societal mix that we are a part of, the human family, becomes vulnerable, both black and white. So you cannot operate in a belief that says tear away truth so I can be comfortable. Talking too much, I'm sorry. Sorry. Sherry said, history shows us that each time there's been an effort toward black reconstruction, there's been a powerful white backlash. With Black Lives Matter becoming more visible, do you anticipate a backlash? I do. And I don't think it's just a backlash because of Black Lives Matter. I think it's a backlash because those who this is what we used to say, Almond and I, that powerful people don't teach powerless people how to take their power away. They will pity you, but this what they will only do for a moment. You must show signs of life in order for individuals to respect the life that is left in you. Frederick Douglass said it like this, that power concedes nothing without a demand. So those who are in power and who are not in principled power, because everybody who's in power is not a narcissist, nor are they always trying to create destructive behavior. There are certain people in power that's saying, I'm trying to figure it out, and that's a good thing. But for the most part, when you have to come into a power dynamic, it causes you to say, oh, I ain't doing this. You know, John Henry Clark said that before the 1500s, and they talked about this Pope. I don't want to get into this Pope name and all of that, because I don't want you to get lost in that. But the point is, before then, race was not the measure by which people had discrimination. So it was not just about skin tone. That happened around the 1400s, 1500s. So it wasn't just skin tone or race or black or white. It was about who was in power. So I think that that's what causes this kind of backlash, and Sherry has a great point. And the backlash is because people who are in power, but they are not principled, no matter who says something, they're gonna feel threatened. You know, it's like a person who know they got it the wrong way. You know, who know they got it the wrong way, who know they got it the wrong in the wrong sense, and then when you challenge them just a little bit. Have you ever asked somebody an innocent question, but they gave you a suspicious answer? Say, hey, how you doing? What you mean, how I'm doing? Say, hey, brother, what's all that about? Well, what happens is people who are in power, you say, man, where you get that at? Whoa. It just becomes this threat. So I don't, you know, I think that even beyond the backlash because of Black Lives Matter, or I think that is the easiest one to point to. But I think when people start saying like, look and watch this, and listen at this. When they say that qualified immunity is not acceptable in policing, like that's a real situation. And the media is right, absolute fear. Qualified immunity, which means what? That you can't do something, get away with it, and because I'm police, well, man, you got qualified. That when you start saying we need to break up unions, not necessarily break, but we need to control the unions, or things like this, that over criminalization of an area is not, of a people who are poor, creates the need for this criminal hierarchy, this oligarchian system to make sure that they become black. See, so now somebody's losing their foot and say, well, hold on, Doc. You stepping in my ring, that's black and white. So you start getting into those type of dynamics. Or you say you cannot have a justice system. Like here's something that's very specific for Dallas. Now watch this. This has got nothing to do with the criminal justice system. But Don Williams sent me something that was deep. He said 65% of the land and the people and everything in Dallas is South, and only 15% of the development is South. So 65% of the people are losing to 35% of the people. So when you start saying, hey man, why are you doing that? What's up with that? It don't matter. I don't care if you was pink and you said that. They gonna, hey, what you doing? What you doing in this back room? Because certain people believe that certain rooms are not designed for certain people, and they are wrong. That is the definition of classism, beyond racism and beyond all these other isms. That is where we have to go. We have to start having those kind of. That's what I mean by Heal America. So you got to get into some of those deep things that are just beyond race and just beyond this. We have to have all kinds of conversations just like this, and then find the solutions. Okay? Yeah. Speak on civil forfeiture. You know, there's this kind of in my mind, and I don't want to get I don't want to take a person too deep, but let me just show you this. That let's start with civil liberties. Let's start with this idea that, and I don't want to be terse, but all men are created equal. That all men have certain unalienable rights. That certain things should not have a it should not be used as this kind of trick bag. That sounds kind of bad. Yeah, D, you're right. I don't know if y'all can see that, but she said the United States has never had a true discourse on class. True. But I won't get into that tonight because I'm trying to stay with the questions. But back to this other idea on this on what I said about civil liberty. See, when you become kind of what people think is radicalized, yeah, Doc, I agree with you. Doc, I don't know if y'all can see these. I'm trying to respond real quick. But Doc said qualified immunity means you represent the state, thus you cannot sue the state. Absolutely right. So you can. So I meant to. If you didn't understand it, that's exactly what it means. It means that. So this is why you have a lot of people very frustrated about police brutality. Okay. I'm trying to be a question and answer guy. I'm trying not to be a preacher. Very difficult. I ain't trying not to be a preacher, but I don't want to pontificate a lot. But that is the argument behind what does it mean when a person says a police can get away with murder. And that's why you have this juxtaposition when folks say stuff like, well, you got black on black crime too, and so, bro, and I'm saying, man, stop, because we deal with that for real. See, that's a great comment for some people that don't have OGU and ain't been in the violence stuff for years. That's a great argument, but not for us, not for me. You can't play with me with that, because I understand that both have different strands of this guitar that we playing. One guitar is about how we see ourselves, and there is a marginalization of what it means to be a citizen. See, and that citizenship becomes this made up idea that we don't understand, that we don't really get, that we don't really understand. That's why I love that. What is slavery to? What is July 4th to slavery that Frederick Douglass did? Because we start seeing those, we see ourselves as lesser, not just as different. And when you are lesser, you are easily able to take out what you think is lesser, even if it looks like you. That's why when you fight or when you this, you have what Ahmed and I used to call phenotype adaptation, where we hate every trait that's our own, because we hate that we dark and blah, blah, blah. And all of that has a whole lot to do with a lot more sociological and ideology that we have to figure out, along with you're trying to be a survivalist, and you think survivalist means if I'm in the jungle, I got to be more animal, and that is incorrect. If you are in a jungle, you have to be more human. But if you don't know that, you start trying to turn on animal instincts, and those animal instincts usually lead to you destroying yourself or each other. So we've been dealing with that for many, many years. And we hold brothers and sisters accountable who would take the life of an 8-year-old baby, who would be trigger happy, or would do or get young girls and do sex trafficking. We hold folks accountable. So that's not our bag. You ain't got to tell me that. But that's different than a justice person who says, I hold up a higher standard, lowering themselves to a standard below humanity by killing someone or being brutal to someone, even if it's not the death rate, but it is the acceptable practice of those who say, I understand that I'm in charge, so my charge gives me charge over you. That's the argument about police brutality. It's not just how many are killed. It is the idea that a militarized zone is necessary to keep these citizens in line. And so we got to say, what's the difference between the citizens over here and the citizens over there? Well, and then that's when you get into the argument about the behavior and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into it. Any other questions? Because I'm going to give you just a few more minutes, and I want to say something about Heal America. Any other questions? Anybody? These are good questions, too, by the way. Everybody through? Nobody else? D, you been putting them out there. You got any more, D? They been hitting hard. She said, what about a nationalized strike for teachers? I get it. All right. So let me end with this. And unless you got more, if you have any more questions, again, I'm here to answer what I can from our perspective, and then I want to give you just a little bit of a context on this whole Heal America stuff, because it can get lost if we're not careful, and I understand how it can get lost, because hey, it's a lofty goal to say that. And then I wanna kind of give some context to what we're gonna do in Minneapolis also. Anybody else? I'm listening. You got a thought on black crime? Go ahead. Let me hear it. Go ahead. If you want to have a thought on black crime, I'm listening. Um, how do we continue to keep the Black Lives Matter movement relevant? Very good question. And okay, so let me say this. See, um, you know what? And I didn't say this earlier, and I guess I should have. Uh, I didn't say it earlier, but see, because I believe that good law enforcement is necessary, so I don't want to paint every person that has a badge with a bad brush and say that they are, because I don't believe that. And so I want to be serious in my critique. But let me say this. So because I don't think, Laura, did I ever talk about civil forfeiture? I think I started talking about civil liberties. Did I? But you know what it means is law enforcement can take some of your stuff when they think that you are suspected of being, a criminal. So y'all know, you got a dope dealer or a suspected dope dealer is riding around, and they say, you know what, let me get all that, and so it becomes, y'all understand that. But beyond what it's saying is it's authority that has massive power. Let me just talk about it like that. Okay. It has massive power. And I think that, Janice, how do we keep this Black Lives Matter movement relevant? That is a beautiful idea. I think that it's going to come not through us having, which I don't disagree, but having flags in our yard to say Black Lives Matter, or having hashtags, which I am not opposed. I love it, the social ideas that come through. But I think the relevancy of this movement, of the movement, is this, is that we must, as I said earlier, this healing idea is about us opening all the way up and examining things that may seem non-distinct to others, but it is very relevant to us. And we must have those kinds of dialogues and pushes to where we say we don't stop until healing is totally fulfilled. It's almost like this. Remember when they were trying to get to Canaan, the Israelites were trying to get to Canaan, and Moses was leading them through Canaan. It was, there was some good land before Canaan. It was like that wasn't the only great land, but there was this idea that we're not going to stop until we get where we are supposed to get. So we have to say to ourselves, the way I see it, is that we're not going to stop till we make this a more perfect union. I know it's easy to say, it ain't going to never be. And that, man, that's all of those pie in the sky. Them folks ain't never wanted us to have, all of that. I know we can say that. But I don't believe that that's how you get to where we're going. We got to get there, Janice, by saying we have to have an uncomfortable conversation about the way we see schools and the schooling system that creates a class system, that creates a quarantine. You got to have that kind. We have to say the same thing about business. We have to say the same thing about, and so we got to keep those kind of things going. But we have to go in the spirit of it's going to be solved, not it's going to be talked about. That's what I want to get to here in a minute. See, if we only have think tanks that can point out great problems but no solutions, it has no value. If the people that we connect to as our leaders, both spiritual and political, are great argument givers and great debaters but non-doers, it has no value. The only way this works is that we start seeing and acknowledging those things that keep us going toward a more perfect union. And I think it was a sister who said this the other day when she got mad at me when we was on this deal, not here, but she was on this other. I don't know if she got mad, but she said she don't seem like she got mad at me. But she was like, white folks got to help. She was right. But the way she said it made me nervous. I said, but if I was white, I'd have said, let me get off this phone. But there has to be the reason behind this Black Lives Matter is because a certain fraction of our citizenry has been left in a place that they cannot be left at any longer. So we got to treat it like it's COVID. You don't have a cure, but you are all in for the cause. So we, as Americans, black, white, Hispanic, Jew, that we all must say there's a citizenry that is experiencing a multiple layered level of hurt. And we must unravel that so that citizenry can rise to its highest level of capability. That's both internally what we got to do and externally what we have to do as citizens. And I hate that I took that long for that. All right. It's too much to type. All crimes matter, but right now we're talking about state violence. True. It's the same argument for why we don't say all lives matter. I got you. All right. Civil forfeiture means they take what is legal and return to. Yeah, I know. Civil forfeiture means take what's illegally taken and return it to a cause where it's needed for the public interest. All right, Doc. Doc saying, give us all this stuff y'all done took. That's what Doc just said. All them big wheels and all that. Doc said, give it to OGU. Amen. Nah. Okay, so let me end with this. Hail America. Okay, y'all. This is not a program. This is a movement. This will take many shapes, forms, and dialogues, but it will be write this down, please understand it. This will be a solution-based movement. There go my brother, Mo. August 26th, we coming to Atlanta. We got Ghost and Tasha coming. Who else gonna bring you Ghost, Tasha, Dion, Mo, and Kendra on the same stage in Atlanta? But we all coming to Atlanta. Now, I'm laughing, but I'm not playing. We coming to Atlanta August 26th for Heal America. And Mo and Kendra. Mo, y'all in, right? Because I'm saying that as if I'm just talking. They told me I was in, so I said it out loud. So you can't, no takebacks. But it's a reckoning, but it will be solution based. We will partner. There's a saying in the Coke industry that I like. We will partner with anyone to do good and no one to do evil. So we're gonna be finding unusual partners that are solution based. Okay. So it will not just be we arguing. So we'll have things, and those solutions will look multi-layered. But we are determined to heal this nation, and we must heal it because we are called to do so. So Bishop, do you think that this is going to happen? Yes. We're not doing this for no reason and not doing this so we can be political. We're not. We're doing it because the Lord said it must be healed. So I don't know when we diagnose it as healed, but I promise you that our watch is going to get better. Like some things that can happen on our watch. On our watch, we can end generational poverty. Yes. Yep. Are you going to have other Heal America sites networking to the? Yes, absolutely. Yep. We are. Now, how do you get involved? I want you to go to healamericatour.com. Healamericatour.com. Sign up. Become a part of our network. I have Candace. Candace, are you still on? I know Ingrid is on. D is on. You have, I keep saying D is DeVoy. I apologize. I'm being very informal, but we have people who are on who can help you if you want to really be a part of this movement, because it's a movement, and it's a movement to heal America, truly to heal America, to find those fabrics where there is some brokenness and some things. Will it be music? Yeah. Will it be politics? Yeah. Will it be religion? Yeah. Will it be spiritual? Yeah. Will it be policy? Yeah. Will it be police reform? Yeah. Will it be violence? Yeah. We're going to find those ways where there are some things that are cracking at our core. Now, of course, we're going to prioritize based on what we see are the most important issues, and we're going to find our greatest partners. We're going to have some partners that you will be amazed. We're going to have some great partners. But we're not trying to put anyone out or put anyone in. We saying whosoever will, let them come on. We feel like Jesus. He said, the Spirit of the Lord is on me, for he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has said, let's heal America. And I know that sounds lofty and nah, it ain't going to happen, but it is. And it's not just a slogan. That is a process that we're going to be involved in until we have exhausted our way and everything that we got. And I just want to be clear that we were doing this before. We did course corrections, all this before this. So we didn't jump up and start doing this because we saw an opportunity. We were doing this before all of this happened because we heard it in the spirit. And we believe that it's going to be some processing that will cause us to go into some deep areas, some questions that were asked tonight. There were some deep questions too. I mean, some of this stuff is this is affecting our life and our livelihood and who we are. So, yeah, Doc, I promise you, that's Dr. Sullivan. He said Minneapolis was his hometown prior to Dallas. I promise you, I'm gonna get with you because I need to know who all you got. And we had some brothers who were former gang leaders. They were up there this week. They going back. They were up there last week. They're going back this week, and they're going to stay until the 29th. And just so you know, Heal America Minneapolis is July 29. Heal America is July 29 in Minneapolis. And then we're doing Heal America August 26. August 26 in Atlanta. And then we're going to Little Rock, we're going to Memphis, we're going to LA, we're going to New Orleans, we're going to Miami. We are determined to heal America. Yeah. What about the 90 days of healing? Yes. Yes. That's from my wife, from Anita. Yeah. That is. And I'm going to speak on that. Blessings from Apostle Brown. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, we love you. We love you too, Apostle Joe Brown, one of the true prophets. And if you got a word, type it right now, prophet, because he one of the true ones. He'll tell you the color of your hair before you had it dyed. He's a true prophet. Yes, these 90 days of healing, we will do it. We will ignite it. And I want you to imagine. Let me close with this last statement. I know I told you I was trying not to be a preacher, keep on closing, but y'all keep asking, so I keep talking. Okay, it's the last thing. Watch this. Mark, I think Mark's last name is Cullerton. He has Uncornered. Mark said to me, Bishop, if I had $1 billion or so, and I had 10 years, and all I did was invested in OGs, we would rid the nation of neighborhoods that are cornered, meaning that are violent infected. If I had $1 billion, $1.8 billion, 10 years, I know how many OGs and things we got to get. I know where they are. We could rid the world of neighborhoods that are quarantined through violence. That would not have, 10 years from now, that would not be here. See, that's what I mean by solutions. That's real. That's not some fantasy. That's real. So that means we might have to figure out who's gonna give us $1 billion to go try to uncorner all these neighborhoods. Now we're gonna do that and say that's one thing we can say that part is healed. That these young people will not have a choice between violence and death or whatever they think their choices are now. That's real. That's a very true solution. Those kinds of things will happen in this Heal America. Again, I told you about police reform. There's going to be a real debate on residential assignment of school and the civil rights bill, which is going to be real controversial. Is that school choice? Is that school this? Is it, we're going to be talking about, we're going to have some open, what about our health disparities and other things? Don, one of my friends, Don Williams, sent me a very beautiful Dallas diaspora of issues that could be dealt with, not with Heal America, just because he sees the way I see it, that this is a big moment and we should not shrink, but we should rise. So we're not shrinking, we're going to rise. And we're going to get off this line. This has been good. I hope you gained some information. I hope I answered the questions best I could. I know some things I didn't go as deep because I didn't want to confuse you. But I did want to give you a kind of basic understanding of what we see. And I'll give you more later, and we can ask more questions. And we are doing this through the Spirit, by the Spirit, but we're doing this for those that we love. I love us, I love us, I love us, and we're going to make it. Ooh, I almost started praying in the Holy Ghost, but I may scare some of y'all. But I love what God is doing. God is doing. He's doing some great things, and I appreciate every one of you who are part of it. And please pray for us. Pray for our health, our strength. I have some people who are going to Minneapolis. Pray that we all are safe. Pray that the city receives what we're trying to do. Pray that Atlanta is brilliant. Pray that we are not just sounding brass, tinkling cymbals. Pray that we have some feet on the ground. All right. I enjoyed y'all. Let me pray us out. Thank you, Janice. Love you. It's my sister. Her mama and them. I ain't say mama them. I said mama and them. JR, this family. Love them to life. Absolutely love them. All right. Thanks, Doc. Thanks, Simba. God, give us the grace tonight. Give us the peace tonight. Give us the strength tonight. Give us understanding. Give us the will. Give us the authority. Give us the strategy. Give us the people. Give us the resources. Give us the finances. Give us everything we need because you already have it. The song that said, you got everything we need, and I believe it. So, God, give us what we need to do what you've called us to do in this season. We must do it because we are called. We are the ones. There will not be anyone else. It's us, and we must be what you need for a season just like this. You called us for this time. Thank you. I'm glad you got us here. And we promise you, God, we won't fail. Our watch will be a watch where change happens and people will see it. And it is so. It is so. Amen. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Have a good night. I apologize about my live messing up at the beginning, but hey, doing my best. Love you. Good night. Thank you, Jill McSwain.